All right, we are live here at Pace Studio this afternoon. We are here with two members of Mastodon. We've got Troy Sanders and we've got Bill Kelleher. And they're going to just have a conversation with me today about their new album that's coming out at the end of March, I believe.
March 31st,
March
yes.
31st, and it's called Emperor of Sand. That's very
correct.
exciting.
Yeah.
And this is your eighth studio album. And this is, I think, the follow-up to your last one was in, I think, a few years ago, 2014?
Yep.
2013.
2014.
It's
Yeah.
been 3 years.
So I guess to start out with, I saw your band bio. You said that this album ponders the nature of time.
It does.
Yeah. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Do I have enough time?
We have all the
Do
time.
we
We have
have
all the
enough time?
time in the world.
Yeah.
I think the idea of time became very obvious to the four of us in Mastodon when we get together after a 2-year touring cycle off whatever said previous record. We kind of start writing, and we tend to pull thoughts and ideas, especially lyrical and subject matter, of what we've been
Now you've
living
done
the
it.
past couple years, truly been living, and kind of reflect on that and channel that through the art that we call Mastodon. Instead of, I would personally like to write songs about roller coasters and ice cream cones and cotton candy and circus clowns, and so does Bill. But we just don't do that. We kind of dig a little deeper, and we're fortunate enough to have this band where we can kind of channel this energy and come out feeling better about it and make a long, deep story short. The answer is yes.
Our fan base is pretty emotionally connected, I think, to a lot of what we write about, and and our music and our just the visual that they see when they pick up a Mastodon album, the artwork. I mean, everything to us has got to come from a place of comes from the soul. It's a real place, and especially like sometimes when we're digging for lyrics, it's like, well, how about the big elephant that's in the room? That may be, as we get older, everybody gets touched by death, sickness, and it, kind of in a nutshell, without going into too much detail and spoiling the surprise, it's really about that journey of your life, and the Emperor of the Sand is the one who controls the time, and he's watching you. He's watching you.
Yeah.
And you.
Is he watching this?
He
Because
might
we're
be.
live.
Yeah, he could.
He watches everything.
He could
He's like
be.
big baby Jesus.
Yeah. I kind of got the impression that Emperor of Sand could be a connection to the sands of time. And,
He's like the Sandman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's roughly to me what I interpret it is like you don't know how much time that you have, and when each one of us has gone through, have many of our fans and people around the world, sickness and death, and sometimes when you get that the Sultans Curse,
Right.
you have a timeline now. It's like, okay, now you have 6 months to live. What are you going to do?
The Sultan's Curse is the opening track. Opening track
which kind
to
of
this
sets
album.
the tone for the whole thing. But to me, it's more like you don't never know how much time you have. So like carpe diem, like seize the moment, grab the. Don't put it off to like, I really want to take a trip and do this or do that with my family or whatever. It's like, what, just do it.
So the commentary on time is an optimist. It's optimistic.
Well, we try to be. We try to turn it around, because it's a very sad and
Yeah.
when someone's sick and
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah. I definitely understand. Why did this feel like the right time, no pun intended, to release Emperor of Sand?
Well, I mean, we've done our touring cycle on the last record, and we're itching. We're always writing, and we're just itching for some new material. It's just time, no pun intended again. So,
Yeah.
it's like it's been 3 years, and that's kind of if we could put out a record every year, which I would like to, but you spend 12, 13 months touring on the album cycle, and then you kind of want to break, and
Yeah.
so now it's
yeah.
like it's fresh meat now. It's like new songs, a whole new it's kind of like reinventing ourselves every time we put a new record out.
Every band's writing cycle is a little different. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
they'll write on the road. Other times they may convene in the studio. One person might do the bulk of the writing, and the rest will convene again to kind of like contribute the melodies. How does Mastodon do that?
We do all of the above, really.
It really is all the above. In different albums, it's a different approach. But the beauty about my friends in this band is that, you know, everyone truly collaborates. Some records, some individuals more than others, lyrically, musically, but it's still
It's the sum of its four parts. I mean,
it is.
Without sounding redundant, but it's like, it really is. You know, it's like I could write a song and then, you know, Braun could play drums to it, but until Troy puts his vocals on it, his bass on it, and until Brent puts his vocals and his guitar on it, it just doesn't sound right. You know, it doesn't sound like a Mastodon song until all four of us are, you know, firing on all four pistons, so to speak.
Yeah, and I would love to talk a little about the one of the more recent singles that you put out. I think "Show Yourself" was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys haven't heard it, it's an excellent song. Definitely a standout. And I guess I'd love to know like how you feel the album, the overall theme of the album connects with that title, "Show Yourself."
I think it's probably different for all four of us.
Yeah.
Show yourself is what you ultimately have inside of you to get you to where you need to be when something negative has impacted your life or affected your life. But to Bill, I think it's probably was it a flasher in the park, showing yourself?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's deep and funny at the same time.
Definitely.
But it's, you know, it's a nice, it's a
very straightforward song,
Yeah.
and you know, typically we don't write, you know, 4/4 typical straightforward songs very often. You know, it's once in a while, but you know, once again, we're just like, I mean, if it sounds good to us when we write it, we get that kind of you know, goosebumps when we're playing it together. We know it's good and we dig it. Then, you know, it becomes one of our songs. That one took a little longer than others, just because we'd been working on it for years, really, kind of like on the back burner, the riffs of the song. But yeah, it's, you know, it's kind of like an oasis of the whole album, because the whole album's very dense, lots of riffs, lots of topics, you know, a lot of guitar solos, ambiance going on. There's a lot of things to kind of keep track of, and that song, to me, just kind of is like a breath of fresh air for a minute to, okay, a song that, like, you know, I can just bang my head to, and it's pretty straightforward and catchy.
It's
you know?
definitely the most straightforward and catchy of the bunch, but it does fit in really nicely.
Yeah, you have to, you know, when we were going to put it out, we didn't want to put that one out first, just because, you know, I don't think it's a good representation of the entire record.
Yeah.
And I think you have to hear it in context with all the other songs to kind of appreciate, oh, okay, I see how that fits in there.
Yeah, you know, it actually reminded me a little bit of Baroness's last album with their single was Shock Me. Mm-hmm. And it was not reminiscent necessarily of the Baroness album as a whole, or even their entire body of work, but it was a poppier, faster, just a sort of like
because when we write, you know, everybody in the band writes, and even when I write a few songs in a row, they're not always going to sound like I wrote them all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I just take any form of, you know, anything I play on guitar, and it's just like, hey, this sounds good, even though, hey, it might sound too rock and roll, or hey, that sounds too metal. But when Mastodon, everybody touches it, it just becomes us.
Well, I know that Mastodon has a long history of. I mean, you guys are influenced by, you know, not just one genre. There are touches of different genres within hard rock and metal. So, you know, like 80s hair metal plus more traditional, earlier metal. And, you know, I'm sure you guys could probably articulate that a little bit better. But you do kind of have like a variety of touchstones that you're not just pulling from one six-string hard rock.
We
genre.
like music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard for me to even put any music into a category. It's just like, well, I don't know, that's that's just good music. You know what I mean? Like
They're
there's so
prog
many,
elements.
yeah, there's so many subgenres, and I have a chart at home that Sam Dunn made for me of the evolution of metal, and we're in there, and it's really cool to like see how some people break, black metal and speed metal and thrash metal, but I feel with our band, and I feel extremely lucky that we don't have to be stuck as, someone asks me, what do you guys sound like? I mean, of course I'm like, well, we're like heavy metal, but we're not. We're so many more than that, so many more things than that. We've got, because everybody listens to like, what they like, and it all shows in our songwriting.
Yeah, and I'll end on this album. For this album, you reunited with a former producer who you'd worked with on your 2009 record, "Crack in the Sky." That was Brendan OBrien.
B.O.B.
So it's been a few years since you guys last worked together. And how did you end up reconnecting?
Well,
It's a safe space.
You're talking really good.
I think, Brendan OBrien, he's, when we did Crack the Sky, it was such a special moment because he was the first producer we worked with. That was actually a producer. Like, he really took the time. He took our songs and he said, let me kind of rearrange these. We never really had anyone do that before. It was kind of, we were kind of going out on a limb with letting this guy who we didn't really know. We know he made great rock records, but we really, we learned how just intelligent and talented this guy was when we worked with him in 2008 when we did Crack the Sky. So with the new record, I think again, I just feel like things happen for a reason, always. Like certain producers we've used in the past, it just feels like this record really lent itself to his production. Because we had this really epic concept and really epic lyrics and songs and like the song structures and everything. It's definitely a totally different record than Crack the Sky, but to me, we felt like it needed Brendan's magic touch. Because when he touches our works of art, when he gets in there, he's playing keyboards. He doesn't even ask. He's just like, let me try this. And he throws something in and we're like, that's awesome. Sounds incredible. He throws a lot of the ambiance in on top of all his direction, as far as, I think you should play the chorus more or do this part there. Most of his ideas are great. They're just, he can read us. He knows what we're looking for. He's very into like vintage gear, and as are we. And he knows that sound that we're looking for. So to me, he really makes our album like three-dimensional. Mm-hmm. So when you're listening, you got headphones on, your eyes closed, and you can hear like a ping-ponging of an organ or some weird sound kind of in the background. It kind of gives it like shading if it were a painting. It's like, put a little shading over here, make it look kind of three-dimensional. And I can't say enough good things about Brendan OBrien and the work that we've done with him. Yeah.
Well, to wrap up, to kind of get back to the theme of time, I mean, Mastodon has been a band now for a long time.
We just turned 17 last month.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been almost 2 decades.
Almost old enough to smoke.
How has time changed Mastodon over the years?
I got a few more wrinkles.
I think you've gotten handsomer.
I think I agree with you.
Just wiser and more handsome is pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've all slowed down a lot. Like when the band first started and we were real excited about just, doing what we love, and we still are doing what we love, 17 years later. But, we used to always be on 11, taking every tour that came our way. Some of the gigs and some of the things we were doing, it was like we were taking on these big tours, and we weren't quite monetarily like really there yet. Like when we accepted this tour in Europe with Slayer and Slipknot back in 2004, and we didn't have enough money for a tour bus, so we had to we couldn't say no to a tour like that because it's huge and it's going to put us in front of all these more people in Europe, and we just took this little splitter van and stuffed all our equipment in there, and it had a table in the middle, and all of us lived in that for like 5 weeks. It was just like, if we tried to do something like that today, it would just destroy our band. But nowadays things are a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like we have a tour bus, and when we go on tour, and we get to fly places, and I don't know, eat well, right, Troy?
Yeah, we chub up.
We don't have to take every single tour that comes our way anymore. We can be a little more selective. We have a little more control now. We're getting older.
Yeah.
We got to kind of slow it down a little bit and be in touch with our families and there for them a little bit more, and care for loved ones when they get sick, and just normal stuff. Happens to everyone. So.
Well, speaking of tour, you have one on the way.
We do.
And you're starting in Europe? Is that right?
No, we start in Missoula, Montana.
Starting in Montana, so the
beautiful city of
the
Missoula.
opposite of Europe.
The opposite.
Basically.
I don't know. So it's far away from Europe. It could be. We are going to Europe in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But we're doing, starting April 12th or 13th, we start a U.S. tour with Eagles of Death Metal and Russian Circles.
Good
which we're
lineup.
really looking forward to that. Both bands, friends of ours, and we're gonna take over the States and just start crushing every night.
Awesome. And we'll see you back in New York at the Hammerstein Ballroom. The date is escaping me, but I'm sure it's probably on your Facebook, your website.
Probably.
It's around.
It's around. It's findable. Point is you'll be back.
It might be like the first week of May, I want to say.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, we want to thank you again for coming here and chatting with us today and hanging out with me and chilling among all the music
all these
tapes.
millions of dollars worth of tapes are
music
just sitting here.
Yep, it's
One might go missing.
It's a
I don't know.
Well, now that you've admitted it.
Well,
thank
you for having us. We really appreciate the exposure and the interest.
Absolutely. Come back anytime.
We will. How about tomorrow?
I'm free.
See you then.
All right, great. See you then.